ASMR Realtor Edition.
Hi. It worked. I don't hear you as bad anymore.
That's good. Hey,
Yeah.
Rachel, what did the one realtor say to the other realtor?
I don't know, Aaron. What did it say?
You know this earlier, and you flat out told me exactly what it is.
Yes, but then you got mad at me for knowing the answer.
That's okay. Remember, the punchline is, I hope you're offering buyer's agent compensation.
Yes, that is very important nowadays.
I feel like we have that conversation all too often lately. But anyhow, hey, I'm Aaron Cochran, Buy Tennessee Dirt team lead. I'm here with Rachel Pitts. Rachel was she's a realtor on our team. She was actually one of the first realtors that Cassandra and I brought onto our team. And yeah, so Rachel is apparently from not the city of New York, but the state of New York. There's apparently a difference. We're going to find out what brought her to Tennessee and why big town New York came to small town Tennessee. And she lives in Lynchburg, of all places. So, hey, Rachel, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about why you're in Tennessee and tell us all the things you hate about New York.
That's a long laundry list. Well, hi guys, I'm Rachel. Like Aaron said, I'm a transplant from New York, but the state, it is very different. Do not associate me with the city. I'm not a city person. I grew up very similar to this area. Uh, Not very Lynchburg. Lynchburg's the boondocks for me. um, I absolutely love it though. And then on top of that, I got into Tennessee because of skydiving. I came down with some friends during college, during COVID, and we were in Nashville. And I looked at them after being out on Broadway, and I was like, let's go skydiving. But our Airbnb was in Hendersonville, which was nowhere near the airport to get a rental car, and skydiving was all the way in Tullahoma. So we went and we got a U-Haul, like one of the ones that you just open up the back, and we just shoved everyone in there and drove all the way from Hendersonville to Tullahoma to go jump out of a plane. And then I ended
No,
up down here.
just hold on. We need to pause for the visual on this of you guys in a U-Haul driving from Nashville. Like, who on earth rented this to you guys in the first place, by the way? Like, was it actually a U-Haul? Like, we can go to U-Haul and go rent one and just move all of our friends to Tullahoma to go skydiving?
Yes, so we saw a U-Haul, and on the sides they have like their rates. It's like whatever amount of cents per mile, and we were like, "That's way cheaper than getting it Uber to the airport to go get a rental car to drive all the way to
Is this
Tullahoma."
is we've heard terms like Tennessee mud flap, like the mullet. Is this a Tennessee limousine? Would be a just pile everybody in a U-Haul and drag them across the state?
Yeah, it was interesting. We were all just like,
How was
but
that? You did.
that was me flying around the back of a U-Haul. So
Well, I mean, I guess that couldn't be scary. You guys were about to go jump out of a plane. Why Tullahoma? Like Tullahoma, we're an hour and a half from Nashville.
because that is the closest drop zone to Nashville. And that's what we looked up, and we were like, we're going to do it because why would we go skydive in New York? Like, blah. We're going to do it when we're on vacation. So,
So, so talk to me. Tell me about destinations and skydiving. Like, why do destinations make a difference? Like, if I skydive in New York and I skydive in Tennessee, like I'm still falling towards the ground at an ungodly speed that I shouldn't be doing in the first place. Like, what makes it different? Like, I'm falling through the same air. Granted, our air here is probably a little bit thinner and cleaner than New York air, but why? What's the hype on a destination?
because the scenery here, where we jump in Tullahoma, you can see Normandy Lake, you can see Tim Ford's Lake, and all the greenery. And if I wanted to go jump in New York, I'd be seeing buildings. It's like I want to go to Dubai and jump. I don't have enough jumps. You need a D license there because of it's on the water and the wind. But I want to go one day and I want to jump there, and that's just because it's scenery.
So, other than skydiving, how does Tennessee differ from New York? Like you said, you grew up in something very similar, not Lynchburg similar, but like Tullahoma similar. Like, tell us some similarities and differences, and what you've learned since you've been here. I think you mentioned at one point about the friendliness of people in grocery stores.
I had to learn, like, I had to become a new person. I had to learn how to be social. I used to walk around, you'd keep your head down, you don't look people in the eyes. You wherever you go, you get in, you do your business, you get out, like the grocery store. Here, it is vastly different. If you're not saying hi to everybody, they think you're you're not a nice person. Like, if I'm not walking with my head up high, like, "Hi, how was your day?" Or if I'm not allowing someone to just randomly come touch my child in the grocery store down here, it's like, that's weird. In New York, no, that is weird. If I have a conversation with you, I'm either trying to hit on you in New York or I'm a weirdo. It's one or the other. You don't just talk to strangers.
Granted, we live in a little bit more in the country than Tullahoma, but similar to Lynchburg, and it's if a guy's passing me on our road, which is a country road, and he doesn't at least give me two fingers off of the steering wheel, like I go, "Who's this jerk? What are you doing in my town? Get out of here! You're clearly not from here."
Yes, that and I feel like if I drive in a neighborhood now, if my window's, like, not down and I'm not like, "Hi" to the people that are walking by, they're like, "Who's in
Yeah,
our neighborhood?"
well, because your windows are super dark and tinted, like everybody's curious, like what celebrity's driving around in this thing? What
Yeah.
foods do you miss? I know you got to miss foods from New York.
I miss egg bagels from a bodega in New York City in the worst way.
Plain egg bagel, toasted, untoasted? Tell me about it.
No. Oh my, these shops you go in and you have options. My favorite was always a sausage, egg, and cheese on an egg bagel with some salt, some pepper, a little hot sauce. You can tell I'm definitely missing it because that's my only complaint. The bagels down here are not good.
Did you just see your New York come out of you? Because you just got all saucy in your explanation of this bagel. So that was your New York coming out, by the way. You asked me
Oh,
about
was
that
it?
the other day. Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. What food have you fallen in love with since you've been in Tennessee?
So I never really had like any barbecue. I bought a smoker. Like that was a rite of passage when I moved here. And now I smoke ribs, a brisket. Like I fully immersed myself in Southern cooking. I didn't like potato salad till I moved here. I thought it was gross. Nope, I just never had good potato salad.
Hey, Rachel, let me ask you a question. Um, Name one thing that butter does not go in or on.
That's not nothing. It goes on absolutely everything.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah,
asked
yeah.
if you
Look at
asked
New
me that a
York
few
here trying
years
to be
ago,
Southern. And cream corn, just so you know, is a food group, by the way. If you haven't discovered cream corn yet. Oh yeah, Jordan's all over that.
I actually haven't had cream corn yet. What is
Holy smokes. We need to have an episode where we just hear, like, you remember the old commercials? They're like, Mikey likes it. Like, we're just going to feed Rachel foods that she hasn't ever tried that are super Southern. And you're like, here, try this.
I'm gonna make you guys try New York food then too. We need to do it. You're from California. Let's just have a I can make some mean street tacos. We got
Oh,
this.
you can't compete with California tacos versus New York tacos. Like, we are closer to the origin of where they came from. Like, they just hit different.
I don't make New York tacos. I never had street tacos until I went to California, and I had to learn how to
Okay,
make them.
fair
So
enough. What's your viewpoint on cilantro?
I love cilantro. Speaking of Mexican
See,
food
Jordan thinks it tastes like soap, don't you? You got that gene.
speaking of Mexican food, that's actually one food group I never had until moving here because in New York, if you want Mexican, you're going to Chipotle. If
Yeah.
I go to Mexican here, it is you can throw a rock and hit a Mexican restaurant on every single corner. They are absolutely everywhere, and it's amazing. Like, you go,
So
you
I'll
get your
tell you one
cheesy
thing that I
chicken and
learned.
rice.
The one thing we learned when we got here was how to identify a good either Chinese or Mexican restaurant. Do you have you identified how to do that yet? Go online and look at the Yelp reviews. The lower the Yelp review, the better the food.
Oh, wow. It's because
Yeah,
the
because
locals don't want
culturally,
you to
they're
know.
not like culturally, those places, they aren't like over the top, like amazing service, but their food just hits right. Their food is straight camping.
Straight
Oh yeah,
camping. Why is it camping, Aaron? What does that mean?
because it's intense. Yeah, you like
There
that
we
idea
go.
there. Yeah.
That's just gonna have to get into every podcast. It's
Oh yeah,
intense.
it's straight camping. Straight camping. So real estate, you got into real estate. What you talked about how you've served, been a server at restaurants and stuff like that. Like, what got you into real estate? Like, what intrigued you to get into real estate?
So I absolutely loved serving. It was like you go to a table, people usually ask you for your recommendation, what you like, and you provide value to them. And as much as I loved serving, that is a job, it is not a career. So I was like, I got to put on my big girl pants. So what is a career that I can do? And I was like, Real estate is the adult version of serving. I am basically just listening to what someone wants, I'm helping them search, and then I'm providing, based off my knowledge, something that I think they'll like.
So you've had your license for what, a year now? Coming up on a year?
It'll be a year, I got it January 1st.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a very similar time. Cassandra and I got ours at the beginning of the year. We're coming up to, I think, our 2 year mark now. So in that timeline, like, what is the biggest things you've learned? Like, what do you think has been the biggest game changing thing that's happened to you? And like, when did you finally have your aha moment in real estate?
Oh, I had an epiphany, but it was not in the beginning. It took about 6 months. It was this past summer. It hit me, and it was like, wow, I'm my own boss. Like, I have to get up every morning for me. I have to do it. No one's just going to give it to me. So I only worked 9 to 5 jobs where I was told exactly what to do. And I don't want to use the word hand holding, but it's like every task was laid out exactly for you. In real estate, it is not like that. You have to be creative and you have to put in the work and oh my gosh, why am I so weird? I'm sorry.
I don't know. It helps sometimes too when I actually have my mic turned on. I asked you that question about like what was your aha moment in real estate and what really made like set it off for you? And like you went into the answer, but clearly nobody on this podcast listened to me and who could hear what the heck I was saying. So my apologies if you didn't hear that earlier. But yeah, please feel free to continue to be awkward.
Yeah, so you're the one who told me that I was the love child of Ross and Phoebe from Friends. So if you're looking for a
Oh,
realtor that's, like, a little weird, I'll get weird with you. Like, we'll go
we're
talk.
gonna get
I
in.
took a man for a showing on land, and he was doing Sasquatch calls, and I was for it. I was like, "Okay, let loose. If that's what you wanna do on this land before you buy it, go for it."
We have a new team rule. If you have a client that is teaching you Sasquatch calls, it must be recorded or it didn't happen. I think that's a fair new rule. Like it's I need to see this. I need to meet this guy and have the Sasquatch calls. So let me know when you close that transaction.
I will, you need to. It was impressive.
Oh boy.
I wanna know what the neighbors thought on that one.
Oh, he was actually like making these calls like
Yes, he was making the calls, and then he would proceed to tell me that, Bigfoot has to be real because Native Americans named them, and they named it Sasquatch, and no Westerner would name something Sasquatch. That was his reasoning behind why Bigfoot is real.
oh wow, that sounds like an entire different episode. We might have to get this guy on and talk about it. Um so we talked about food, like culturally, like what do you witness here? You're talking about friendships and people being more like was it hard for you to like adapt to that? Like how did you get out of your shell of like keep your head down and just keep to yourself? Like, is it a comfortable feeling to be open with everybody and how are you? And welcome to the
Eh,
grocery store. How's the kids? How's your mama? Stuff like that.
I was not used to it. It's actually you and your wife that got me out of my shell. I was a hermit. I just stayed in my little my little homestead in Lynchburg, and I would come
And
out and
and
do my real
and
estate.
Rachel, now what are we?
I'm sorry?
I said, "If you're not a hermit now, what are you now?"
A socially awkward real estate agent.
Okay, fair enough. I can't argue that. I was looking for a different animal, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not a peacock yet, but I will be.
Okay, she has her peacock moments.
I do.
So after this podcast, she's actually going to her first listing appointment, which is actually pretty cool. So, um, yeah, watch out, Fayetteville. Here comes Rachel Pitts.
Yes. Brookwood Estates, I'm coming for you.
There you go. There you go. I think they'll be well represented. So what did you learn moving here? Like, if you were to have somebody contact you from out of state going, "Hey, I want to move to Tennessee," like, what would be your best words of advice for them?
If you haven't been to Tennessee, visit Tennessee because I love this state, but there are very different aspects where you live. If you're living in Nashville, that is gonna be 100% different from living in Lynchburg. Even if you're living in Murfreesboro, that is vastly different from Tullahoma. And not just with the people, but with the amenities and access to things that you have. It's very different from New York. In New York, there was you were a 10-minute drive to a grocery store, a hospital, absolutely everything. In Tennessee, if you don't know where you wanna live specifically and what is around it, do your research. That is my
So I guess my ignorance that I had with you earlier about you being from New York City versus New York would be like the equivalent of people going, "Oh, you live in Tennessee, you live in Nashville." Nashville's its own, like, completely different thing. Like, we go up to Nashville maybe once a year, um, and then I look forward to going back a year later and do not wanna go back anytime between, so
Yeah, it's funny. So I was living in New York and in college, I came down to Nashville 4 or 5 times, and I would spend ridiculous amounts of money to come visit Nashville. But since I've moved to Tennessee, I've maybe been to Nashville like 4 or 5 times, and I've been here for 3 years.
yeah, it's, I like our small town. Estill Springs, where we live, has 2,000 people that live in it. It's insane, and it's every time I get on like, if we're heading up Highway 24 towards Nashville, like, I can't wait to get back to Estill Springs, Tullahoma. Like, it's too peoply. It's too New York. Um, like, tourists don't come down here, I guess, unless they're riding in a U-Haul van.
But they should. That's the thing. You get to go out in these little towns, and when you immerse yourself, you get to see the beauty in it. Bell Buckle, absolutely beautiful. Winchester, Lynchburg, Fayetteville, they all have these old squares that give you like still like the old timey vibes, and it's just I love it. There's nothing like that in New York. Everything's modern buildings. You don't have a piece of that culture still.
Mhm. I remember the first time we went in, Cassandra and I drove through Winchester Square, and, I was like, I literally felt like it was like the Back to the Future Square, but smaller.
I love Winchester Square solely for the old-time movie theater that is there. I had never seen an old-time movie theater until I walked past that. I was like,
Have have you been to the movies there?
"I haven't, but I need to, I guess."
It's interesting, so I have to tell this little quick story, speaking of movies. So Cassandra had, a gal in our church, and she just turned 15, I think it was, and so she asked Cassandra, she said, "Have you ever been to an AMC movie theater?" And Cassandra's like, Yeah." I mean, we lived in California, they had everything, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. They had these big, like, comfy chairs that you sat in, you got to even slightly recline and watch a movie," and Cassandra started to tell her about this place that it was called Studio Movie Grill in California, and you actually would go in and you would sit down, and you had a little tray table that, like, would come across in front of you, and you pushed a button and a waiter would come to you and take your full order, and you could order, any type of drink that you want, even cocktails, desserts, full-blown meal, like knife and fork meal, and bring it
Oh,
to you, and
wow.
she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's so amazing," and we're like it was one of those humbling moments that we're like, "Yeah, there's people here that have never been out of here. Like, what you haven't experienced here is not here." I bet they can tell you about some gas station food.
I've noticed that locals here sometimes haven't traveled and seen outside Middle Tennessee. If you're in New York, everyone has traveled, everyone has seen other aspects. In Tennessee, it's like everyone's content. I mean, I wouldn't wanna leave. I wish I was born in Tennessee to begin with, then I wouldn't have had to travel halfway across the US to get here. But
Hey, we got Jordan off camera here. Jordan, how old were you before you left Tennessee at any point? And Alabama doesn't count.
I think I went to Florida when I was 5.
4 or 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I skydive, and it's based out of Tullahoma, and we have lots of locals that will come, and they'll be like, "Yeah, this is my first time on a plane." I'm like, "What? You're
Yeah.
about to"
I know people that I've met here that have never been on a plane,
see,
period.
to me, that is wild, but
I've also met five-year-olds that drive tractors, so that's a thing.
yes, that is the biggest thing in Tennessee. You do not have to leave 10 minutes early for traffic. You have to leave 10 minutes early because if you get stuck behind a tractor on one of those roads, you will be late. They drive everywhere.
I was coming out of Winchester the other day, coming through Deckard, right there in front of the co-op, and, I stopped at the stoplight, and then the light turned green, and traffic moved up, and I got stuck at the next light, and I went, "All these out-of-towners in our dang state need to get out of here. This is ridiculous, sitting in traffic." I waited at one light. I've been in California, and I've waited through, like, 6 cycles of a light just to get through a light. Like, there's a car in front of me. We've got traffic. This is ridiculous. So, what are things that you can't adapt to here in Tennessee? Like, what's the struggle? Like, what do you not like, I just can't wrap my mind around what?
I'm sorry to any restaurants that serve this in Tennessee, but I miss sushi. Like, I miss New York sushi. All you can eat sushi for, like, $25. Oh, it's the best. I mean, I'm not knocking it. Sushi Thai in Tullahoma is amazing. I know you like their lobster, like, roll or whatever, and I like it too. But nothing is better than all you can eat sushi.
I know. It's, you can get gas station sushi here. How you feel about that?
I will not eat gas station sushi. I might try
That's
the chicken now, but not
it
the sushi.
it sounds like a tapeworm. It's really what it sounds like. And Jordan gave me a face like she speaks from experience. Jordan Mitchell's new diet plan is the tapeworm.
Speaking of gas stations, though, oh my, I experienced a Buc-ees when I moved here for the first time. And let me just say, I will make that hour and a half round trip down to Chattanooga to go to a Buc-ees any day of the week. They have the best beef jerky.
I didn't care for their beef jerky.
You didn't have the right kind. You need to have their honey jalapeno, and you'll thank me
Okay.
later.
I mean, there's a ton of beef jerky at a Buc-ee's. Gosh, Buc-ee's could be an entire episode by itself.
Buc-ees could be. People come out of the woodworks to go to Buc-ees, and they're apparently building one in Murfreesboro, so I won't have to drive as far.
Oh boy. That's all we need. It's more Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is the one. Buc-ee's is like Costco. I go in, you don't, hey, I'm just gonna go get gas. If you walk inside of a Buc-ee's, I've never walked out for less than $100. I don't know why. You ever walked into a gas station, not including your fuel, and spent $100?
So if you've never been to a Buc-ee's, it's the beaver logo. You'll see it on apparel, stickers everywhere because yeah, like you said, if you are going in, you are buying something with a Buc-ee's symbol on it. I have a Christmas ornament with a Buc-ee's on it.
Oh, I we bought these trays for the girls that you'll have to get next time you go, because Ryder needs one, and it's a little red tray that sits in your lap, and it has like it fits over your legs, and it has a cup holder, and it has a tray to put your food in. So you literally just put the food in there and turn around and hand it to them in the back seat, and it's like self-contained. It's like $5. The best thing. We bought our friends some because we had them, and they were like, "What is this?" And we're like, "Next time you go to Buc-ee's, we're getting you some." So that was their impromptu Christmas gift. Food for thought. Put that on your list.
Oh, and my biggest transition since moving here, Lodge cast iron. I will now only cook in cast iron, and Lodge was created, I think their manufacturing place is down near Chattanooga.
Yep.
But yeah, so I never had like, that good old Southern cornbread in some cast iron. Like,
I'll teach you some
was a game
cornbread
changer.
tricks. My dad was a good cornbread cook. What is your have you been in the new lodge place in Lynchburg yet?
No, but I need to. They have the cute little gas stations and everything down there. So Lynchburg actually had a festival earlier this summer where one of the competitions was a cast iron toss. Who could
Oh yeah,
toss
it
a
was
cast
Pioneer Days.
iron?
Yeah, it's Lynchburg's had a lot of fun stuff.
That's what I love the most, the community down here. Every town has some sort of festival, and that's not a thing where I was from. So this weekend coming up is the Fall Heritage Festival out in Cowan and Fayetteville. They have a slaw burger festival each year. Have you ever heard of a slaw burger?
I really enjoy coleslaw on my burger. Just so you're aware, I'll put coleslaw on coleslaw. I like coleslaw. It's a good thing. It's a food group next to cream corn.
Yeah. So that's been the biggest, eye opener, I guess, the difference in food.
Yeah, it's I think I agree with you. The festivals are a lot of fun. So yeah, we're gonna go to the Heritage Festival this weekend after we host some open houses in Fayetteville. So we are looking forward to it. So Rachel, welcome to Tennessee. Thanks for being part of our team, and thanks for giving some people some insight. We'll make sure to put Rachel's contact information in the description below. If you'd like to reach out to Rachel directly, she will be available for all your Southern Middle real estate needs. Hope you guys have a good week. Thanks, Rachel.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Bye.